Okay, BIO178, welcome to our Phylogeography module. And in this module, one of the things that you will understand and be able to do by the time you're done with this module is answer this question on this slide. So I always like to try and use topics in our lectures that are relevant to what's happening in our everyday lives or things that you may have heard about recently in the news. So one of the things that you may have seen in the spring, around March or May of this year, these things called murder hornets were in the news. And that's their popularized name, but really they're Asian giant hornets. They're invasive. They found a few of them in Canada and Washington. They're pictured right here. They're these really large hornets, hence the name giant hornets, and they're from Asia. Again, hence the name Asian giant hornets. So they found a few individuals in Washington and Canada, and they don't belong there. They're not supposed to be there. They're non-native species. And so that's one of the things that we're going to talk about in this module is how phylogeography, molecular ecology techniques can help inform invasive species and help us figure out where these invasive individuals may have come from. With that information, we can then be more informed about how we should be monitoring trade or that kind of thing. If we know where they came from, we can make more informed decisions about how to prevent them from getting here. So that's one of the things we're going to talk about in this module. By the end of this module, you'll be able to do several different things. First of all, you'll be able to interpret bifurcating trees and haplotype networks. You may have seen those in some other classes, but we'll go over that in this module. Number 2, you'll be able to determine whether populations have been physically separated as a result of two different processes, dispersal or vicariance. Number 3, you'll be able to use those trees, just like we talked about with the Asian giant hornets, to identify the geographic region of origin for an invasive species. And then lastly, similar to what we did in the species module, you'll be able to choose a scientific paper that could be used to write a proposal about phylogeography. And again, that main assignment for this module, in addition to the short mini quizzes we have after each video, are finding a paper related to phylogeography. This is one example. I use the search terms phylogeography, running out of room, and molecular ecology. So again, I highly recommend this journal, Molecular Ecology, or Molecular Ecology Resources. Those are two really good journal sources for papers, not surprisingly, related to the topic of our class, molecular ecology. This example is a paper where they were using phylogeography to examine two putative subspecies of short-finned pilot whale, which is shown here. And I actually picked this particular paper as I was doing some Googling because I actually went to grad school with Amy Van Cise. So I didn't know that she'd published this work, so that's cool. So again, the main assignment for this module is finding a paper that's related to phylogeography, related to a topic of your particular interest. And that's because, again, the main end goal for this class isn't for you to be able to take an exam. We don't actually have exams this semester. But the idea is for you to be able to apply everything you're learning in these modules to be able to write your own proposal. So remember, again, we have this one proposal at the end of the semester, but to practice, to get to that point, we also have two, what I'm calling practice proposals or mini proposals, to help you make sure you understand how to write them, how to think about them. And for this first proposal, what I'm going to ask you to do is pick from one of the topics we've talked about in lecture so far. So phylogeography is one of those. So if after completing this module, you think that phylogeography is really interesting and you want to focus on that topic for your first proposal, The assignment that you're doing at the end of this module to find a paper is going to help you as a starting point for that proposal. So when we get to the point where you're actually writing your draft of your proposal 1, you'll essentially have a folder or a handful of papers on file that will serve as a starting point. You can pick the one you're most interested in and then go from there to formulate your proposal. So go ahead and click through the module, watch the rest of the videos, and complete all of the little quizzes and assignments.